How to appeal against domestic violence settlement refusal. So this video is about how to lodge an appeal in the first year tribunal if your application for settlement as a domestic violence um, of a British citizen person has been refused. I'm Barrister Shazia. I'm going to show you exactly step-by-step grounds within which you can lodge your appeal in first year tribunal. Also, I'm going to highlight the grounds of your application, original application, so that you are aware of the grounds, you are aware of the list of the documents you need to enclose in order to get the settlement as a victim of domestic violence of a British citizen. So this video is going to explain not only the legal grounds but also the factual background as well as the institutions who would have been involved in your situation, and if you weren't able to obtain some kind of evidence before, now this is your chance to get the evidence, obtain the evidence, and show the court why were you not able to obtain this evidence before when you initially lodged your application in the Home Office in order to get your settlement as a spouse of British national, but you have been victimized as a domestic violence of a British citizen. So let me just explain first of all before we go into the grounds of appeal. I'm Barrister Shazia, been helping other immigrants in order to come to the UK, to live in the UK, or to apply settlement in the UK in the last 15 years period of time. So this video is going to be in terms of domestic violence, because I have been making many videos before for spouse visa UK application, but this video is specifically for those people who have been victimized by their British spouse whilst they were their spouse, they were their husband, wives, whatever their relationships were with the British national, but now their relationship has been broken down due to the fact of domestic violence. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, you will need to subscribe my YouTube channel in order to get further updates in this kind of category of application, as well as the other kinds of categories of the applications in the UK immigration. So first of all, let me just tell you what documents would have been needed in order to apply domestic violence settlement application. You will have to enclose your marriage certificate copy. If you don't have the original documents, don't worry, because sometimes it's not possible to obtain all the evidence due to the fact that you have been victimized victimized of domestic violence. So if you do not have original, you need to enclose the copies of the documents, whatever documents you have available, whatever documents, copies you have available, you need to enclose your copies with your application initially. So marriage certificate copy, if you can obtain your spouse passport copy, your spouse passport copy, and the visa copy, initial visa copy, in which you had been granted 27 months of leave when you entered to the UK. So you need to show that visa copy to the Home Office as well. Number 4, you need to show your correspondence on your both name, on your name and on your spouse's name. So you need to show the correspondence, different kind of correspondences actually. If you can show them the bank statements, you can show them the bills, you can show them a driving license containing the same address where you have been living together before your relationship was broken down. So that would be more than sufficient. So you have to actually show them that you have been living together as a husband, as a wife, before your relationship was broken down. So in terms of the other documents, for example, how you can prove your domestic violence, how you can prove your domestic violence. You need to give them a victim support letter, you need to give them police report, you also need to give them psychiatrist report, you also need to give them GP letters containing the conditions you have been reporting to GP before your application to the UK, as well as you need to give them the medical report, because it's very important when you just show them that you have been victimized as like on the basis of domestic violence, so by your spouse, you need to give them evidence with your initial application. So this evidence can be different types of evidence, and also letters should have been from different institutions. Like if you have been applying for financial support, you need to get the letter from DWP department. If you have been applying for social support or housing or any other kind of support, you need to get that letter from the same institutions and send it with your original application. So this is very important. So next thing is sometimes people can get depressed. People get depressed because they have been suffering with the domestic violence issues. So they may have been depressed so much that doctors have prescribed the medicine, antidepressant medicine. You need to give them the evidence to the Home Office. If you could not obtain that evidence before, now this is your turn. You can obtain this evidence from the doctor, from the psychiatrist, from the pharmacist, or from any independent psychiatrist or consultant to assess you and give you a report what kind of behavior you've been actually facing with. So let me tell you one thing. You know, when we just to say the domestic violence, when we say domestic violence, how many types of domestic violence would be there? So number one, domestic violence example is like financial control. When your spouse doesn't give you, doesn't let you to have control of your own money. For example, they take off bank card from you, they spend all of your money, they don't leave any money for you, they don't give you any financial support. Also, they don't let you to go for your employment work, or they just take control of your phone calls, they monitor your phones, they use your phone on behalf of you. Sometimes it has been actually examples. Some of my clients told me that their spouse actually has been using his phone and pretending that it was actually him who was sending text message to his family member, and she was taking all the information from their family members, and she was pretending that he was the main person whose phone she was using. Actually, I hope you understand what I mean. So financial control. So next thing is physical abuse. Sometimes people may hit other people. Spouse may hit other spouse. So if you are victimized by the physical hit, then it's called the physical abuse, which is completely unacceptable. And let me tell you, there is a criminal offense. And if this is proved, so your spouse will be charged actually with the criminal offense, and they may face criminal charges as well as civil penalties. So there's another thing very important. So for example, if you are being treated in this kind of treatment, and you feel that you've been victimized, you've been facing domestic violence, so there's an option for you. You may be able to get an injunction from the court. So once you apply for an injunction in the court, you can just establish whatever has been happening. You may be able to get the injunction. So this is called civil remedy in your position. So there's penalty in terms of criminal offense. If somebody is treating you badly criminally, and they are taking control of your money, they are abusing you physically, they are abusing you emotionally, they are giving you so much stress that you can't just go on to your life. So this is very important. So financial control, physical abuse, emotional abuse, as well as there's another category of abuse when you feel like you have been so much depressed and you need antidepressant from the doctor. So these kind of factors, so when they affect your life, then you take step to apply for your domestic violence application. If you need any help, give me a ring. I will guide you further. I will give you my free guide I've created, especially for those people who need my help, who need guidance in this complicated situation. because this is the situation which is very complicated and people can't do on their own. They need somebody to help them, they need somebody to guide them, they need somebody to take through all these steps so that they can apply for their rights, they can apply for financial circumstances, they can apply to regularize their leave to remain in this country. People just get scared. People think, oh, if I report, they may be able to deport me, they may be able to send me back to home. So these are the situations you have to actually consider. If you have been facing this kind of problem, you need to give me a ring, and then I will give you my guidance. I will send you my guide, which I have specially created with the particular framework to help you actually to regularize your status in this country, and also to get some financial support from the institutions. If I feel that you need to get an injunction from the court, I will help you in that as well. So this is the thing. So when we talk about what kind of requirements you will be actually telling to the Home Office, so these are the requirements you need to tell them. You need to show them step by step. If you make any mistake, you may be able not to get the leave to remain or indefinite leave to remain in this country. So this is where you need professional services, you need help from professional. And also I will say subscribe this to YouTube channel, because I have been uploading many videos on this topic, and I will be uploading many videos on UK immigration, spouse visa, domestic violence applications, appeal grounds, family visas, primary carer visa, and European national family permits and extended family members. So next thing is how to appeal. Actually, the whole purpose for this program is how to appeal in the first year tribunal once if your application has been refused, if you did not have enough or sufficient information to persuade Home Office that you have been victim of domestic violence and your application is refused. So give me a ring. I will give you further guidance for this. But now, in nutshell, you can lodge appeal in one of the IAFT forms. So you will find the link below in description box where you can download the appeal form. And if you want to just file your appeal by yourself, you will be able to complete that form and lodge appeal in the court. But I wouldn't advise you to appeal by yourself in this complicated situation. If you need my help, you can always send me text message by WhatsApp, and then I will send you my guidance or my special guide what I've just created. So next thing is you will be paying £140 court fees. And the thing is, if you have been receiving any financial support, you don't need to pay any court fees. You will be exempted, and you have to complete another form in order to seek exemption from the court fees. So once you've completed your appeal form, then you need to draft a ground. So grounds will be, the first ground can be that you have been victimized, financially. So you need to set up your ground. How were you victimized financially? What kind of facts were there? Whether you've been victimized that your money has been taken off from you, or you've been victimized because you were not allowed to go and do your employment, or you were controlled financially because there wasn't enough money for you to have food or your day-to-day necessary things. So second ground will be physical abuse. So you need to make your ground if you have been actually victimized by your spouse. So physically set on the dates, on which dates, what happens, chronology, set on the chronology and what happened. And also, if your relationship has been broken down, you also will need to enclose your what it's called divorce certificate or any kind of separation proof. And if you have been, actually the third ground will be your emotional abuse. If you have been taking antidepressant, if you've been to psychiatrist, if you've been to doctors, you need to enclose your reports. Also, you need to set up in the grounds. Third ground will be emotional disturbance, and you also need to give evidence with your appeal form. So once you set up all the grounds, you also, on the second hand, you need to set up your evidence, your documents you are relying upon. So on one hand, you are drafting legal grounds. On the other hand, you are enclosing your evidential documents, which is called evidence. And you have to actually mention all of your grounds on your appeal form. If there isn't enough space for you to draft your whole grounds, then you can attach a separate sheet. You can draft your grounds separately and attach it with your appeal notice form. And in the section of appeal form, you will need to write down, please see attach the grounds of appeal, and then you will be arranging your grounds of appeal para by para. First paragraph will be your physical abuse or financial abuse. Second will be your emotional abuse. Third will be your financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. So three types of abuse, and there is another abuse which is called harassment. So if you take that ground, you need to establish how have you been harassed by your partner or spouse, whether you've got any injunction from the court, whether you've got any evidence available, whether you've got any witnesses statement from your relatives and friends and family to support your grounds, whatever you are mentioning in your grounds. So these are the grounds of your appeals. If you want to lodge appeal in the first rate tribunal against the refusal of domestic violence indefinite leave to remain application, send me text message. I will help you. I will guide you further. I will send you my special guide what I've just created for you people to understand what kind of domestic violence um, grounds you have been suffering with and what kind of legal grounds you will need, because this is you need to make sure sometimes you cannot just confuse the grounds. You cannot just rely on to the one ground and your evidence is saying something else. You are just mentioning your ground on emotional abuse, but your evidence is on financial control. You have to make sure your grounds are compatible with your evidence. Your grounds are compatible or matching with your evidence, which means evidence and your grounds have to be on the same side. So these are the things you need to make sure. You can follow me on Instagram, on my Facebook page. You can leave message on my WhatsApp contact number. You will find my WhatsApp contact number on the link below. Also, you will find some other links to download actually the appeal notice or some useful information for your application. So I hope you've liked this video. If you have liked this video, click the button like. And if you want to be notified for the further videos, you need to press the button bell icon and also subscribe the channel for further videos. In the meantime, stay safe and take care of yourself. If you need any help, let me know. Send me text message. I will help you further.